Hey everyone, Warwick's here. So we're back with another Geoff Castellucci song. So today we're doing the song of Durin from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Now, I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan. I love it. It's my favorite fantasy world of all time. Song of Durin is actually a poem. It is not actually a song. It was a poem written by Tolkien, so there are a few different people that composed songs off of it. I'm sure Geoff has made some original arrangements and stuff like that. In fact, let's go in early here. Yeah, Song of Durin appeared in Lord of the Rings trilogy. It was only a poem when Tolkien wrote it. The music for the song was inspired by Clamavi de Profundis' melodic interpretation of Tolkien's poem. Look them up. Yeah. So I'll definitely be doing that just to remind myself because I believe I've heard that version before. So, yeah, I'm not going to get into the deep Lord of the Rings lore about it, of the Song of Durin, but basically, the dwarves in the Lord of the Rings trilogy have a long history of basically of losing a lot of their original strongholds to dragons or to other forces. And Song of Durin is kind of designed to go along with that. And then we go from there. So I put out a post on my community page. It's still there if you want to go check it out real quick. And I asked for some other reactors that or other groups that you want me to react to. If you've watched my channel long enough, you kind of know the style of musics that I really enjoy the most. So if there's artists or anything like that that you want me to cover, I'm obviously a musical theater nerd as well. I've debated if I want to do the Epic series on that front, but if there's anything that you have suggestion-wise that you would like to see me react to, go ahead and throw it in the comments of that post over there. I would love to hear from you just because it is September 24th as I record this. We are in the throes potentially of Halloween and spooky season starting to come down on us. I know that the Bass Gang has been working on their EP for May the Bass Be With You Volume 4, which I think Peter mentioned on one of his previous videos is coming out in November. And then, of course, we know Voice Play is going to do all sorts of crazy stuff in October, whether it's them as a group or Geoff or whatever the case may be as to what's going on. But I'd like to see some other potential artists that have done Home Free in the past. If you want to see me them, or if there's another group that I haven't maybe heard about or talked about that you would like to see me do, love to hear that. Anyways, let's move into the point of this video. For those of you that are new to the channel, welcome in. I appreciate you clicking on it. For those of you that are veterans of the channel, welcome back. For those of you that are unaware of me real quick, my name is Corey. I go by Works on all the social channels because that is my online gaming name. As you can tell from my channel, I'm dedicated this channel to both reaction videos and to World of Warcraft videos, as that is the game that I stream and play primarily the most. I am not a professional musician. I'm just a guy that did high school bands, took a bunch of music theory classes in college, like almost 15 years ago at this point. And started doing these videos in 2022 as kind of a way as a creative outlet post separation divorce from my ex-wife, as a way to kind of give me things to do without thinking about what my life was like at the time. And I've just kind of kept doing them ever since. If you've never watched one of my videos with the way that I do them, and YouTube hates the structure, but here we are, is that I watched the whole video the first time through, no pausing. You get to see my stupid face in the bottom left of your screen, reacting to what we're watching in real time. And then I do a second listen through where I actually will pause and talk about the things that I think are cool from a musical perspective or a visual perspective. In the video itself, as a video maker, I'm always keeping an eye on the visuals of everything. So that's how we're going to break this down. So let's just dive right into it. This is the Song of Durin, a bass singer cover by the King, Geoff Castellucci. We're going to crank this up a little bit.
The world was young, the mountains green, no stain yet on the moon was seen. No words were laid on stream or stone when Durin woke and walked alone. He named the nameless hills and dales. He drank from yet untasted wells. He and looked in mirror, and saw a crown of stars appear as gems upon a silver thread above the shadow of his head. The world was fair, the mountains tall, in elder days before the fall of mighty kings in Nargothrond and Gondolin, who now beyond the western seas have passed away. The world was fair in Durin's day. A king he was on carven throne in many pillared halls of stone, with golden roof and silver floor and runes of power upon the door. The light of sun and star and moon and shining lamps of crystal hewn, undimmed by cloud or shade of night, that shone forever fair and bright. Their hammer on the endless bought, their chisel clove and graver wrote, their forged was blade and bound was hilt, the delver mined, the mason built, their arrow pearl and opal mail and metal wrought like fish's mail, buckler and corselet, axe and sword and shining spears were laid in unwearied then were Durin's folk, beneath the mountain music woke. The harpers harped, the minstrels sang, and at the gates the trumpets rang. The world is gray, the mountains old, the forge is fire, is ashen cold. No harp is rung, no hammer falls, the darkness dwells in Durin's hall. The shadow lies upon his tomb in Moria, in Khazad-dûm, but still the sunken stars appear in dark and windless mirror. There lies his crown in water deep, till Durin wakes again from sleep.
Oh my god. God, the goosebumps.
Hey y'all, Geoff here. Thanks so much for watching and subscribing. Videos like this would be impossible to make without lovely folks like you clicking that play button a time or two. And of course, all of the lovely people on Patreon. If you'd like to see all of my videos early and plenty of other incredible perks, head on over to Patreon and sign up. You can even sign up for free. Special shout out goes to Halder Draco, Tema Krempley, Juliana Livingston, Diane Holland, Sarah Borzelli, Sarah O, Lori Templeman, Laura Mueller, Patricia Schumann, Debbie Goodling, Jordy S, A.M. Person, Carl and Melanie Thomas, Asa M. Langstrom, and Debs Badger. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.
God, that's such a good song. Very, very well done. There we go. Let's go to the credits, because that's what we always do in this. I like to give shout outs to the people that do all the work behind the scenes. So, of course, arranged, film produced, and edited by Geoff. No surprise, this is normally the case when it comes to his own music. Kathy, of course, his wife, the longtime production manager. By the way, happy super belated birthday, Kathy. Ed Boyer did the audio mixing. Kathy and Geoff did the creative direction together. Rick Underwood, who's been doing hair and makeup for this, him and for voice play for a while now. And then Ellie Jacobson did all the lighting, which is good. Gimli beard and other hair pieces created by Melissa Firison. Hope I said that name correctly. And then OPB Clamavi de Profundis, original percussion beats, I'm assuming, or something like that. OPB, the name escapes me. Of course, Phil at Patty Cake Studios, which is Lane Stein and Tony Joaquim. Yeah, and it says here, I was actually going to point this out, but we'll go ahead and sing it here. Basically, obviously, Geoff comes in as Gimli, but then the other dwarves of legend, which these are the ones from his previous videos. So Thorin, Keely, Feely, and Bofer, who he's used in Icy Fire and in Misty Mountains. So these are back, also known as Geoff. And oh, by the case you were wondering, also Geoff. Of course, we can't use the actual names. I'm sure the Tolkien estate wouldn't like that, but representative of those characters. I said in one of the comments that someone made about bringing back, when someone mentioned that the dwarves were coming back. First off, I was curious, like, what the hell other song could we have? He's done the two kind of the most popular ones. Not once did I think he was going to do the poem Song of Durin. And I'm glad he did, because I love this. I love this. But the two with the dwarves are like among my two favorite things, and I guess it's a lot of it's due to the strong connection that I feel to Lord of the Rings, and just they're both beautiful pieces. This one is kind of gonna be in that mix, I think. I haven't read the poem in a few years. It's been a long time since I've read the poem of Song of Durin, so all the words and stuff were kind of creeping back to me a little bit. At one point in my life, I had it memorized and I could recite it off. Just like someone joked about the old Tom Bombadil poem. I've heard Patrick Rothfuss say that right off the top of his head. I could used to be able to do that with Song of Durin because I love this poem. I think it's great. And so words were coming back to me as I was going through listening to the song, trying not to sing along with it. But, just bust out the dwarves, and I'm not ever going to complain, just like when he busts out the cowboys. I'm probably not ever going to complain because Ghost Riders and Unshaken are two of, we've kind of figured out like what a top 5 might look like for me in terms of Geoff covers. So, excellent. I love this. I love the set. There's so much to love. This is probably going to be a longer breakdown, so strap in, go in. Let's see, it's 1:10 my time as I record this in the afternoon. I'm going to try to keep this to another 20 to 25 minutes from this point so that I can actually eat some Mama's leftover chili. Anyways, that's the end of the reaction. If you're here for just that, if you're here for the breakdown, let's go have some fun, huh? Yes, I paused 2 seconds in. I love the fact that we start and come full circle on this. So we get the water dripping, which is very reminiscent of something that you would get with a dwarven city in the Middle Earth setting. They're all deep underground. And a lot of other setting dwarves are, in other fantasy settings, dwarves are both, obviously always tied to the mountain people because of Tolkien's writing. A lot of modern fantasy is based off of the foundation that J.R.R. Tolkien built. But the fact that you get the dripping water into like a lake of some kind in the cave sets a very specific tone, and I really like that he included it in his piece here. Kind of get that echo effect.
The world was young, the mountains green, no stain yet on the moon was seen. No words were laid on stream or stone when Durin woke and walked alone.
So obviously we get low baritone, high bass from the Gimli line. Also love that we get the horn. I don't know what instrument is probably doing that. I wonder if it's like a standing bass. It's very slowly the bows coming across the strings very slowly to give it that vibe and that feel, and if it's being like done or how it's being produced. But there's, traditionally that's the horn of battle in a lot of ways in Middle Earth and Dwarven culture. And then, of course, we get Geoff number 2. This is representative of Thorin Oakenshield, who is, of course, in both versions that he's prominently featured in Icy Fire and now in Song of Durin, is the deepest bass of those. And if you listen to, if you watch The Hobbit, the first one, when he sings Misty Mountains in the movie, the actual actor does, he's also a very deep voice there. So, to me, when Geoff is in this level right here, this is to me where I think he's at his greatest in terms of the way he projects his sound, the way it comes across so incredibly clear. I love the way that when he sits in the 1-2 range in the octave scale, to me, that's where he sits at his like most comfortable, most clear. I love just the way that the sound pierces and rumbles at the same time, if that makes sense, where it is distinctly there, but then also you just kind of feel it like in your ears, almost like it's a thunderstorm in a way.
More stone when Durin woke and walked alone.
That right there, that load.
He named the nameless hills and dales. He drank from yet untasted wells. He stooped and looked in mirror, and saw a crown of stars appear.
So one of the things I love in this little section, obviously we're going to introduce on the far left on your screen, right above my head, is Dwarf 3. I believe that one is Feely. And then the one with the bow is Keely. They're twins, back and forth. I could have the names wrong. It's been a long time since I've watched and read The Hobbit. Of course, this one with the bow, most famous for falling in love with an elven woman who started to like him back towards the end of The Hobbit before things happened. And then we get Beaufort on the far right, known for his mace. So that's the representation of all the dwarves, if I recall all correctly. And of course, Keely Feely, the twins, highest voices. Beaufort joins in there as well, kind of in that low tenor, high baritone range. Gimli representing more of a true baritone range. And then, of course, the character portraying Thorin is our bassiest of bass. The one thing I like is that we get, was it right here? Right there. We get that big old clapping drum slap thing, and then Ellie does a great job of this blinding white light coming through. And then if you notice right here, as we get our last dwarf coming in, he elevates the light, makes it seem dark and light. And of course, they're using a lighting to reflect the fact that off of Geoff's face here, it is orange in its hue, which means it's reflective of flame. So fires in an underground, the way you're going to light things up.
In mirror, and saw a crown of stars appear as gems upon a silver thread above the shadow of his head. The world was fair, the mountains tall, in elder days before the fall.
I love the before the fall, the way it, again, it almost sounds like he's double tracked. I don't know what that effect is called. It's done in the mixing aspects, but it sounds like there's two bass voices there, two Thorin voices. I love when he uses this for his basses because it makes it sound like it has a ton of reverberation, like it's echoing off the walls, and it just gives me, like, he's used this technique. The one that always stands out to me is in the Reigns of Castamere, when he does the Lord of Castamere line. I'm not going to try to sing it now because I don't want to subject you to that. But he does it there. He did it in, I believe he did it in Unshaken as well, where it just sounds like he's double tracked himself, where he just duplicated his voice. I know it's not that simple. I think someone explained it to me in the past. Apologies for not remembering that, but I love when he does stuff like that because it just makes it sound so rich. And of course, I need to know the note that he drops down to. So I don't. I'll check the comments to see if maybe like RTS Base or someone else has that there. But I want to shout that out.
Elder days before the fall of mighty kings in Nargothrond.
One of my favorite things to do when I was in high school, doing particularly an orchestra side. Now I was much more of a marching band kid. I love that side of it more because it just allowed for more creative freedom as a drummer. But in orchestra, there were still a lot of fun things that you could do as a drummer. One of my favorite things to do was the crescendoing cymbal roll, and that is what it's called. And that's what this here is. You listen in the background, that's actually someone taking what essentially amounts to marimba mallets, which are usually softer, or taking soft-headed mallets, and you slowly. Let me get it in the camera here. So you do this, and then as you want to get it louder, you go harder and faster on your strokes. I love that because it's always fun to do that because in here you usually have the option either you let it ring or you have to cut off the sound by squeezing the cymbal with your hands. And it usually came down to composer's discretion, but it was always one of my favorite things to do because you could get them things loud if you did it right. And the way that this one crescendos so quickly, I just want to shout out that technique being used here in the background. Yeah, it starts loud and gets even louder. So they didn't mess with it. It sounds almost gong like in the way that they did it. Where they, again with a gong, most people think of the whoa, but like you can get some gongs that sound very high, and it almost sounds like he uses that, but it sounds like the cymbal roll technique.
Kings in Nargothrond and Gondolin, who now beyond the western seas have passed away. The world was fair in Durin's day.
I love the harmonies here. Obviously, Geoff vocalizing with himself, but like the fact that he did harmonies right around here, I think it was, go back another 5 just in case, that had almost no bass to them. Like I think the lowest note was like a high baritone note, but it still sounds so rich and so full. It's just a testament to his ability and how clear he makes every note. And that man's been working on his high range. I can tell he's never going to be an Ellie rock tenor, but he's able to do things that you could tell he's been working on, like how clear is his high chest sounds to where he's avoiding going into mix nearly as much. And I really, really like that. And then I love taking the harmonies into a low bass transition into our driving percussion that we're going to get here to transition us from part A to part B, or part 1, part 2, and then there's I would argue a part 3 to this song in the way it's composed.
Now beyond the western seas have passed away. The world was fair in Durin's day. A king.
God, I love that drum beat. I'm trying to figure it out. Hang on, sorry. I'm gonna get nerdy on drums here for a sec.
A king he was.
Ooh, I really like. God, those are interesting choices for offbeat 16th notes because that's what it is. Because you're hearing this little. It's let me do it on my chest here. So it's something like that. Like it's not the exact notes, but like it's not just this like on an 8th note beat. He picks some things up that are coming on the 16th note that are really like. They still feel like they're driving forward. I mean, percussion is completely designed about being a driving force in music pieces. Like, there's very few times where percussion is not in some way a way to signify momentum is being had. There are some instruments that do that, like wind chimes, for example, aren't a good driving force of that. But even something like chimes, because you hit them with a small mallet, like just by their very nature, they're always that driving force. But you can create different feelings of momentum through your percussion. So you have like your kind of standard, like almost like marching beat that, but then you can create this sense of uncertainty, and that's where you use these things like that, where you create this almost like this sense of uncertainty. You know you're going forward, but it almost feels like it's a rocky road. And you get like these really interesting different ways to do it, and I love the choice here to make it feel like with like this transition into drum beat, we're not getting that stability right off the start. And usually what drums do to a music piece as a whole is provide stability. So when they can do things that make things feel unstable, I think it's really, really glorious.
A king he was on carven throne in bed.
The other thing that happens is that the beat changes. So we get in the very beginning of the song, we're going to mark 150, we'll mark 155. All right, so let's remind that. But let's go back here.
He named the nameless hills and dells.
A lot of time signature changes happening here. Let me turn this down. I'm going to talk over this, I'm sorry. So you can see in that section there, we're getting a very much a driving quarter note style beat. Now let's transition back to 155 and listen to how this beat goes. Let me crank this up just a little bit.
On carven throne in many pillared halls of stone.
He goes into this triplet feel, which if you don't know what triplets are, basically instead of 4 notes in a beat, it's 3 notes in a beat, and they give like a very smooth feel. If you ever listened to waltzes, are generally, if you're into classical music, waltzes are generally not only in 3/4, but they're in this triplet style beat because of the way that your feet move. So very much that style. I love songs that are in triplet beats. 12/8 is a time signature that you probably will hear a lot of. I'm also a big fan of 15/8, which go look up songs that are in 15/8. They're weird in a good way. But 12/8 is a very common time signature that you'll see where that indicates that triplet. And what it does is this gives a song a different feeling of momentum, and it stabilizes out the drums, as you can hear here. Let's go back right here at the start.
A king he was on carven throne in many pillared halls of stone, with golden roof and silver floor and runes of power upon the door.
I love this 2-part harmony right here. Like, it in a way sounds like there's dissonance but still harmonizing. Like, he's been doing a lot of this where it's like there are notes that are being played that don't make sense from an analytical standpoint, but your creative brain still processes as sounding good. This is another one where I think that kind of falls into that category. But I love that he does kind of almost like a duo tenor thing here.
Golden roof and silver floor and runes of power upon the door. The light of sun and star and moon and shining lamps of crystal hewn.
The other thing I love here, obviously harmonies, but we get a light shift. So again, we're going to come back to, we get this blue light here, and then now we're getting, as you can see, we're going to get more here. It shifts here right as we get into our new set of drums.
A king he was.
Now we're getting our yellow light.
In power upon the door, the light of sun
and then we get this flash of light on the light of sun. not being subtle about it when you listen to the lyrics, but I still appreciate it. And I love that in this case, Gimli looks up the light. Little interactions like that. Like Geoff is always really, really good about this, and voice play as a whole has gotten a lot better about this since I kind of criticized it in the Nothing Else Matters thing, where I said they should do this more. And ever since then, they've been doing that a lot more. One or two exceptions, but interacting with other people on the screen and making it feel like everything is flesh and full here. So like, as you can see, this Geoff is looking over here. This Geoff, this Geoff looks up. This Geoff has looked around at other Geoffs. Like, I love that he does stuff like this. It just makes the video feel more vibrant.
Star and moon and shining lamps of crystal hue, undimmed by cloud or shade of night, that shone forever fair and bright. Their hammer.
And then we get another shift into this pink hue, which interesting color choice. Like, I'm trying to think. Maybe I'll listen to the lyrics a little more intently. I'm trying to remember this poem. I think it's just going for the starkest color contrast that he can, because he's had blue and then he goes into this bright yellow and now he's going into this pink hue. Don't know if the color choice has anything to do with it or if it's just something they felt like was a good contrast that maintained a lot of other stuff. We'll see.
Fair and bright, their hammer on the endless bard, their chisel clove and graver wrote, their forge.
Ooh, percussion. Drummer here, sorry. So we're getting a much more, we're getting additional drums. Now we're getting, as you can see, we come back here, we'll go back about 20 seconds. I've spent so long in the middle of this piece, I'm so sorry. But listen to our drums here.
Crystal hue, undimmed by cloud or shade of night, that shone forever fair and bright.
So it's very much like a one or two drums. You know, you're getting your driving 16th notes that and you're getting that with a little bit of like almost like cymbals, like muted cymbals, like someone is grabbing a cymbal and then it's just like grabs it like this on the edge and then they play like towards the middle of it just to give it a little bit of like a plink sound. We're getting that. And then watch what happens when we transition. You see more instruments come into play now. Now we're getting these brush drums that's making that type sound. We're getting more industrial sounds with what sounds like a slamming door or a hammer hitting metal. These more industrial style sounds that just continue to add A, layers to this song, and B, continues to drive and be that source of push in the song. And it coincides nicely, of course, that we're getting a bass line to go with it, because I think this is kind of like a beautiful blended mix here.
Their hammer on the endless bard, their chisel clove and graver wrote, their forged was blade and bound was hilt, the delver mined, the mason built their...
Trying to figure out what's doing those staccato notes in the background, that boom, 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 something like that that's being done. It almost sounds like it's a violin of some kind. Really like that arrangement. And then, of course, we get Durin, Geoff here.
Braver wrote, their forged was blade and bound was hilt.
Excuse me, Gimli, Geoff.
Mind, the mason built their pearl, pearl, and opal mail, and metal wrought like fish's mail.
On that metal, whoever did that slight, like, it's like a pulled back belt almost. I can tell he knocked my own headphones. But I can tell he's pushing almost like into his mix there. Then, of course, we transition away from the pink, which kind of represents to me the forge in a lot of ways, with the flame and the heat. And then we get back to our more like yellow, light, angelic in a way.
Buckler and corselet, axe and sword, and shining spears were laid.
I need the low note on this if someone knows. It's definitely in chest. I want to know how deep into chest it gets. I really love, there's a little subtle moment here. See if I can find it. too far. I went back too far, sorry. Right there. I love that both Geoffs put their heads down a little bit on and just a little subtle thing. I just appreciate it. And then we pull away all the background light and are simply getting this light shining on this coffin, which is assuming Durin's coffin, this assumption. And it transitions us into section C of this song, which is just what's scheduled to pull us back, basically. Also, that low note.
Unwearied then were Durin's folk beneath the mountain music woke. The harpers.
Okay, a little thing again. I love the way the K sound on woke here at the end was.
Music woke.
Very clear, woke. He almost emphasized the K sound there a little bit. It's a little thing, but I really liked it. I really, really like it, actually.
The harpers harped, the minstrels sang, and at the gates the trumpets rang.
Again, listen to your lyrics, listen to your music. At the gates, the trumpets rang, and then we get this small, duo trumpet note.
Gates, the trumpets rang. The world is gray, the mountains old, the forge's fire is ashen cold.
That is definitely a trumpet with a mute inside of it.
No harp is rung, no hammer falls, the darkness dwells in Durin's hall.
Durin. That note too, please, if you know it.
The shadow lies upon his tomb in Moria in Khazad-dûm, but still the sunken
Another cymbal roll there, which I love.
stars appear.
Geoff getting stars like way up there for me. Like I can't even do it right now. That sounded like it was in jest too, which is impressive for him.
In dark and windless mirror, there lies his crown in water deep.
Wait, he lies his crown in water deep? Is that the words? Or am I mishearing that? Hang on, he does captions. There lies his crowns in oh, sorry. Jesus, my fandoms are interacting. I forgot it's Water Deep because, yeah, sorry. So, Waterdeep is the name of a city in the famous D&D, Dungeons & Dragons realm of the Forgotten Realms. It's the City of Splendor. And my brain connected the two and got confused. Oh, my goodness.
Till Durin wakes again from sleep.
God, I love that last chord. And I love that, of course, the dwarves of legend fade away and Gimli is back to returning and exploring Moria on his own. I think someone... Did I see this in the comments? Yeah. In fact, you started ending the song with Gimli alone in Balin's tomb is just painful. Gimli, son of Gloin. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful piece. I adore this. This is definitely, get it on that like right there. Make sure you do this for my video too. See how easy that was? Click this button here if you're not already, both on this video and on his. Of course, if you're watching this, you're not subscribed to Geoff, I kind of question your sanity. Yeah, adore this piece. Thank you very much, Geoff. for taking the time and doing this, and everyone that put in the work behind the scenes. Appreciative of this. I love that you took a extremely well written poem and turned it into this beautiful song. And I will be going checking out the original, the Profundus Melodic Interpretation. I'll go check that out here actually right now while I go eat lunch. So until the next video, I hope you all stay safe. Hope you enjoy yourself. You're having fun. You're listening to great music, and we'll see you next time.